Since its launch on February 8th, the gaming community has been absolutely abuzz about Arrowhead Studios' Helldivers 2. The game has had an absolutely massive launch that completely took a lot of critics by surprise, myself included. Before Helldivers 2, Arrowhead Studios was known for their work on Gauntlet, Magicka, and the original Helldivers, which were all solid games that sold well, but never really entered the mainstream gaming conversation. I was concerned that Helldivers 2 would struggle to find an audience, as admittedly the pre-launch marketing for the game wasn't all that great. The people that had played the original Helldivers were quite excited, but for most others, the game had the look of your standard by-the-numbers live service horde experience. But all that changed at launch, and since then, Helldivers 2 has smashed through every possible expectation set for it. It has reportedly sold over 3 million copies, hit a peak concurrent player count on Steam of over 450,000, and the player sentiment behind the game, despite serious launch troubles with server capacity, has been extremely positive. So what's been the driving force behind the success of Helldivers 2? Well, to boil it down as simple as possible, it's fun. It was priced right at $40, and it treats the player with respect. The game feels good to play mechanically, and is paired with excellent sound design to make everything feel impactful. It's great to look at, with lots of planet variation, lighting, atmospheric effects, and colors. There's the added comedy of ragdoll physics, so when you get swiped by a bug or hit by an explosion, you get flung around like a sack of potatoes. And top it all off, there's a satisfying progression loop of gaining cool gear, cosmetics, and stratagems to unlock bigger and more explosive ordnances.
Oh Jesus.
Mission at 10 minutes remaining.
I think they might be dead.
Every round you play in Helldivers 2 is a recipe for disaster, in the best of ways, that constantly creates excitement and new player-driven stories. There's friendly fire, there's environmental hazards, there's moments of pure desperation when you sacrifice yourself for the good of democracy. Or your friends, if you're so inclined.
Oh Jesus!
Oh, missed.
Who the fuck did that?
What happened to you?
Helldivers 2 isn't worried about balance, it's not worried about grinding, it's worried about generating fun gameplay, emergent storytelling, and looking cool while doing it. Most importantly, the game respects you as a player. The in-game store is minimal, and it isn't the first thing that appears when I boot the thing up. There is a battle pass in Helldivers 2, but you can earn all the unlocked currency in the game just by... Listen up, you grubby, money-hungry executives in overpriced suits paid for by a Nicki Minaj skin in Call of Duty. This one's for you. Playing the game. Exploring the maps and completing side objectives will net you premium currency in the game. I've put over 20 hours into Helldivers 2, haven't spent a dime on microtransactions, and have still been able to unlock plenty of the premium cosmetics. And you know what? That makes me want to support the game even more by occasionally throwing in a few dollars for the premium currency so that the developers can keep adding more content to the game. This is live service done right, where the developers remember that they've made a game first and not a cash shop. There's a progression loop directly tied to unlocking new game mechanics, cool cosmetics, new difficulty modes, and even new planets through the combined efforts of the community. Nothing is random, everything is earned. I never feel like I'm wasting my time in Helldivers 2, because I know what I'm working towards, and not just hoping for a bright, colorful magenta box at the end of my session. But there's clear business reasons for why Helldivers 2 has been a success as well, and that comes down to the communication of the CEO and creative director of Arrowhead Studios, Johan Pilstedt. The launch of Helldivers 2 has been a massive and unexpected success for the studio. This has led to the game essentially being broken for a couple weeks now as servers were constantly overloaded, and the developers left playing catch up to increase server capacity for the game to get players in. For perspective, this is a monumental success for Arrowhead Studios when compared to their previous games. So if you're wondering if that dev team is getting any sleep right now to get their game working and keep players happy, well, there you go. Thankfully, the communication between the studio and the player base has been nothing short of excellent. Pilstedt has really gone out of his way to be publicly open about the issues the studio is facing due to the unexpected success. This includes making sure to acknowledge the efforts of the team and letting players know there's real people behind the scenes working around the clock to get the game working right. He's also been surprisingly open about his thoughts on microtransactions, pay-to-win systems, and a whole lot more. Pilstedt even went out of his way to assure folks that the studio wouldn't just rapidly upscale to support the game either. He noted that overhiring now and having to downsize later isn't the right approach to make sure Helldivers 2 is sustainable in the months ahead as they start to implement their live service roadmap. A refreshingly grounded stance to take in the current games industry climate, where so many major studios and publishers overhired during the pandemic to chase money that has quickly dried up as people return to their normal lives and are playing games less again. Interestingly, he's been able to say all this while their game is published by Sony, And that gives me some measure of hope for Sony's other upcoming live service games like Fair Games from Haven Studios and Concord from Firewalk Studios. There's clearly a dev and player first mindset behind Pilstead when it comes to Helldivers 2, and its immediate success reflects that. The game bucks so many industry trends when it comes to live service titles, and I think it has a very bright future ahead of it if Arrowhead sticks to their guns on continuing to respect their players' time, money, and intelligence. People are celebrating and rooting for the success of Arrowhead Studios, and rightfully so. Helldivers 2 is simple, it's fun, it's priced right, and it doesn't need to remind me to log back in every day in a desperate attempt for attention, unlike my dating apps.
This video is sponsored by Death Trick Double Blind, a non-linear detective visual novel coming March 14th to Steam and Nintendo Switch.